I know it's been a week since Valentine's Day, but oh boy, I did not expect to get a Valentine's card from Gaster. Or did I? Let's have a look at this and see what this Valentine's card truly portends for the story of Deltarune. Hi there everyone, Lars here with another theory and analysis for Deltarune brought to you by Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers, because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And oh goody, I was truly not expecting to get any sort of big updates in any kind of way for Deltarune's chapters 3 and 4 until, well, it basically landed in our laps. That was what I was expecting. But Toby Fox did deliver, shows that he does indeed love us, who are continuously waiting for the next installment to be released, and gave us some really fun Valentine's Day fun and fluff, gifts, and the whole shebang, along with a bunch of cards and some updates into what's happening in his life, with his productions, with how the game is coming along. Sounds as though Chapter 3 is pretty much done, and that they're getting pretty good headway into Chapter 4, even into Chapter 5, which is very heartening to hear. But let's dive into what you really came here for, which is the Gaster card. Gaster gave us a fantastic Valentine's card. Or again, did he? Now, I've read up on what a lot of people are saying. They're like, bingo, this is Gaster, and I'm so happy. He does love us. He's not just some creepy scientist who wants to destroy the world. I actually never thought that he was out to destroy the whole world. I just think that he's a creepy scientist performing all different kinds of crazy experiments because he can. He's basically the true embodiment of what you expect from a dark scientist who's just waiting to say, Tsubarashi. But in any case, this could be Gaster right here, and if it is, it totally falls in line with what MatPat has said years ago, that basically Sans and Papyrus are the result of Gaster falling into his own machine, getting torn apart through time and space, and becoming two halves of his brain, as well as, well, another entity on out there. And while I know that there's some people who are totally not fine with what MatPat has to say, and I'm just going to say, guys, come on. This is a game. It's a theory. A game theory. Please, let's just have fun. This is Valentine's Day. It's the month of Valentine's. Even though Valentine's Day is in our rearview mirror at this point, let's just enjoy what Toby Fox has given to us. And while, yeah, sure, this could be Gaster, this would be a really big reversal of all the different things that we've so far learned of this guy. And I'm just going to say this right here. If you want to get a really good breakdown, an almost exhaustive breakdown of why this is probably not Gaster, I'm going to refer you to an excellent video essay done by Spooky Dude. He goes into all of the different details about, as far as like cadence, word choice, rhythm, everything, that really tells us that this is highly unlikely to be a card that was written by Gaster himself. However, I will say that based on what we can see from the card, that it was very likely delivered to us by Gaster. And I'm just going to say that, again, I kind of agree right here with Spooky Dude that this is highly unlikely to be Gaster who wrote it, because this does not fit any of his style whatsoever. Now, sure, maybe he absolutely loves us because of all the work that we're doing in his massive experiment, and he just wants to share that love with us, but there's just a lot of things that, again, a lot of clues that point to this not being Gaster. However, I'm going to say that it is Gaster who delivered it to us, and I'm going to get into why that's so important. First of all, we need to admit to ourselves that we have no idea why Gaster's running the experiment that he is, putting us, the players, into the body of Chris and allowing us to control Chris throughout this adventure. I personally have the theory that Gaster is really playing around with determination right here, that he's back to his good old games from Undertale, and that he wants to see if we, in conjunction with Chris or against Chris's will, can break the predetermined destiny of Deltarune. As far as he's been able to observe of this particular timeline, this timeline is supposed to be set in stone. No matter what we do, the overall events, the big events of each chapter play out the way that they're supposed to. However, if we decide to dive deeper into the events of each chapter, we can start changing things around somewhat, and we can start having a profound effect on the lives of the different characters, which goes to show that maybe our choices really do count and that the timeline is not immutable. And I've personally theorized in the past that what we can expect from how Deltarune is likely to end is that we're going to see Chris and Susie show again determination at the end of the entire story and save the day. But not just simply save the day as in they're going to save the light world and the dark world from Angel's Heaven and all of that good jazz, but that they are going to break this experiment and that they will truly have freed everyone at the end. And we're going to have this amazing, beautiful moment that's going to show us that friendship, which is what Toby Fox has said that this game is all about. That friendship is what led to this ending, breaking all expectations from Gaster and from all the other characters who have seen just the darkness that is encroaching upon them. And because we see Sans in the light world, in Hometown, it's very likely that he is going to be present for all of this and that he is going to be the one who actually draws the moment with Chris, Susie, and Ralsei that's found in Undertale with the caption, "Don't forget," that this is an inspiration to him in the big wibbly wall ball of timey-wiminess that is multiple timelines, and that this serves as an inspiration to him, both in the past, in the future, and the present, for what is actually possible. Now, that's just my personal theory right there. But coming back to Gaster, it's very clear that he has this experiment going on, and that he wants to see what you can do with your choices, which is why I believe that this is still about determination. For example, if you as the player wish to truly dive into the depths of this game, searching for all kinds of secrets and clues, you can get the different eggs that are given to you by a man that is not to be seen. By getting these eggs, you can then go and plop them around in other places in the light world to be utilized probably later on. One egg at the convenience store where Sans is at, and another egg in Asgore's refrigerator. Furthermore, if you wish to delve really deep and kind of go against the grain, go against everything that you're told to do, you can initiate the Snowgrave route, which basically takes Birdley out of the game as far as we understand, and really begins to traumatize Noelle and turn Noelle not necessarily into Chris's plaything and weapon within the game, but yours. You are now in control. You are the one who is taking over and breaking the lives of these already fragile characters and utilizing them as weapons in order for you to go against the wishes of this timeline. Truly very, very interesting. And no matter how this turns out, I think that Gaster, it feels like he's ultimately the winner. Either he's going to get to watch how things play out and he's going to get all kinds of great information, or the player is going to try to go against the grain of the game and do all these other things, which allows him to yet still gain more information and more data in order to better understand timelines, worlds, the power of determination. And as we see in Deltarune, he himself is willing to step into his own experiment in order to kind of spice things up with these eggs, with these Easter eggs that you have to go hunting for. It's very much a part of the story. And as Spooky Dude brings on up, Gaster acts as like the embodiment of a glitch within the game. Though, however, I would say more so than just a glitch, Gaster exists as the embodiment of Easter eggs, of glitches, of undiscovered code within a game. He is the being that exists beyond and above it all, and yet is a part and through it all, and is very self-aware that this is all a game and is going to learn through his interactions with you. And this is where the Valentine's card finally comes on in, because Gaster is not afraid to do something that most scientists won't do, which is insert themselves inside their own experiments. He is willing to do that. He is willing to interact with us, the player. He's been doing this even before we opened up the game to begin begin with, and he's been with us ever since. As we've been waiting for the next chapters to release, we are given here this message that basically thanks us for waiting and encourages us to keep on going, and gives us a little bit of a wink of something to look forward to. What I believe is this, is that while Gaster did not write this letter, it goes against everything that he has shown us before about himself, that there is someone else, a part of this greater experiment, that Gaster is bringing in onto the story, and is delivering us this message that was written for us, but he's not letting the other person deliver it. Instead, he is the one to do so. Now, that immediately leaves us with two questions. Number one, why would he do that? And number two, who then wrote the letter if it's not him? Who would have given us this beautiful Valentine's card, other than Toby Fox? Well, what I will say is this, is that I believe that Gaster is giving us this letter because since he knows what's actually happening, since he knows that this is a game, he's there for all this development, and he knows we've been waiting quite some time for the next chapter, he is coming in again, just as he did to introduce us to Deltarune. He is coming again in person to encourage us to keep on playing, to keep digging deeper into the game, to keep exploring it, to continue to exert the power of choice and determination in order to fulfill the measures of his experiment. This is all to encourage us, to motivate us, to instruct us even to keep going. Don't let up on the experiments. He still wants us to play a part in whatever game he is concocting here, whatever experiment he's playing out, that he's conducting. We are a part of it, and he wants to make sure that we don't leave. As to who wrote this, I'll be honest, my first thought was this could be Onion, considering how Onion also seems to kind of understand a little bit, at least to some degree, even if they're maybe not fully cognizant of it, that they have been hopping between different timelines, Undertale and Deltarune, and that they seem to know a little bit more than they've been willing to let on. I feel like this is a Valentine's directly from Onion, encouraging us to meet with Onion. Remember this, Onion wanted to know their name, and we had the choice of giving them a name, and they really liked Onion. Should we give it to them, which comes from Undertale, but also seems like Onion's got something more that they wish to share with us, something that Onion has also been looking for. Could it be that this is Onion, again, reminding us that they're looking for someone, they're looking for something that they seem to have forgotten, maybe because of jumping around between timelines, or at least understanding that there are different timelines? I don't know, but I think that that is already a good place to begin with, that this could be Onion, especially because Onion doesn't fully understand how most other people operate, whether they be human or monster or otherwise, which is kind of then gives you to the whole like, oh, maybe you should wash your face or wash your clothes first, put on your face, put on your clothes, I don't know, just do whatever it is that you do. I'm Onion, I float in the water. And lastly, it kind of would make sense, since Onion is at least somewhat cognizant, at least to some degree, that there are differing timelines, that very well it could be that Gaster's like, you know what, I'm going to keep an eye on this floating weird ball right here, and see how they could play into my experiment. It is indeed an option. However, of course, there are other characters. I know that there's going to be some people who are going to think that this could be Noelle's sister. This could be Des. What if something weird has happened to Des and this right here is the result? I mean, this seems pretty friendly, and overall Des should have been a very friendly character before she vanished, so maybe this is her. This is a message that could only have been written by her and could only have been delivered by Gaster, since she's very likely in whatever ether Gaster himself is trapped in. But since we know that there's also been various followers and basically cultist members who follow Gaster around, this could likely have come from any of them as well. And we aren't supposed to yet know who actually wrote this. Again, Gaster has given this to us as an invitation, as a form of motivation to play the game still and to dive even deeper, to uncover all of its secrets. Why? Because in doing so, we will be testing the limitations and the power of our own determination. In a game where, determination hasn't been a very big factor like it was back in Undertale, and yet we get kind of a reference to the power of love as we got in Undertale, which again kind of makes me think that this is still all about determination. And ultimately, I think that this is just a really great idea from Toby Fox in general. What we're effectively getting right here is the creator reaching out to us through his characters, inviting us to learn more about his world, dive in deeper, become more acquainted with his characters. Remember how we got all of the blog posts from Noel? They didn't necessarily tell us what's going to happen next, but they gave us context, and immediately tons of people began to go back into the game and began to reevaluate various scenes and go hunting for clues that would affirm what we got from Noel or from Birdley or from Caddy even. And now people are beginning to realize that this story is way larger than we ever thought. The full 7 chapters is going to be incredible, and ultimately this Valentine's Day special we got from Toby Fox serves the same function. It is again an invitation to dive in deeper, to become more acquainted with the characters, to start looking for who could have written this letter to us. Was it Onion? Was it Des? Was it someone else? Don't know, but we are encouraged to find out. And a lot of the other little details and likes that we see here in this posting are meant to pull us back into Deltarune, get us truly excited and once again hunting, so that way when the next chapter is a land, we don't just simply play through and say, yay, we're done. When are you gonna release chapters 5, 6, and 7 so that way we can finally end this game? Toby Fox wants us to really become well acquainted with his characters. Again, this comes back to his stated goal, to become friends with everyone within the game. And in order to do that, we're going to have to dive deeper. We're going to have to go darker. We're going to have to see what Gaster truly has planned out for us, because we can just play the game straight on through, and I believe it would be a satisfying playthrough. But if we go in deeper, if we take this invitation from Gaster's multiple invitations that we've already gotten, we are going to discover the true story that really inspired Deltarune, the one that Toby Fox said woke him up in a cold sweat and has kept him going ever since. These invitations, this Valentine's card, is just a glimpse into that deeper story. It's not just so much a declaration of love and a whimsical, interesting thing about Valentine's Day or a little spooky something from Gaster. It is an invitation to dive deeper into Deltarune and come to know the true story with all of its cosmic horror, its other timelines and worlds, the various machinations of all these different characters, and the story of friendship at its very heart, all coming together to deliver a very powerful message. That is what this Valentine's card is all about. Now, real quick before I pop on off and start working on other videos right here, especially getting back to the last couple of videos for the month of Valentine's where I've been looking at toxic relationships, what can we as novice authors learn from this? Well, here's something that you can do, that really any creator can do, that's a ton of fun, but also be careful with how you implement it. It is how you interact with the fans. What if you use characters, lore, puzzles, and the likes to interact with your fans? We've seen this done especially well with Alex Hirsch and Gravity Falls, where all of the fans were invited to be a part of a massive global treasure hunt right after Gravity Falls ended, leading up to fans finding a statue of Bill Cipher in the woods out in Oregon. That was really, really cool. It was a great way of giving fans one last romp with Gravity Falls and letting everyone feel like they were a part of the adventure. And ever since then, as we've been getting some of the journals and some more of the stories, this has just been a way for us to be invited back into the story, dive a little bit deeper, and become more acquainted with these characters and their character arcs. And it's worked out really, really well. And then we've got Brandon Sanderson on over here. Good old Brandon Sanderson senpai. I love his lore dumps. I love the words of Sanderson. However, one of the problems is that this guy has divulged so much information within the words of Sanderson that it's actually ruined a lot of the great fan theories, because people are like, well, Sanderson once said over in Thailand, well, Sanderson once said on over in Austin, Texas, Sanderson once said down in Antarctica, this, and this, which then clearly proves your theory wrong. Sanderson is just doing all these various lore dumps because he's got so much that he's planning, so many things that he's creating, and he wants to share all of this stuff with his fans. and I totally understand that. But it comes to a point where he's divulged so much information about characters, about worlds, about plot lines and spoilers, and all of this stuff, that it gets to the point that some of the mystery, some of the fun of just diving into his books, it's just minimized a little bit, or even just outright taken away. If you as the creator are going to share these moments, share these puzzles, share these clues, these interactions with characters and the likes through little side things like Valentine's cards or little lore dumps online or interesting Twitter posts, whatever it be, you want to make sure that you are being smart about it. I would say keep it limited. Toby Fox does an excellent job with feeding us only limited information that immediately gets us energized and going back to the game, and we're then eagerly awaiting the next chapter. And we've been waiting quite some time. People have been getting a little bit burnt out by the waiting, and yet these Valentine cards, especially this Valentine's from Gaster, has already rejuvenated a large part of the community, and again, we're excited and eager to get chapters 3 and 4. So it's working, but it only works because we're being given small little bits. If we were just given a deluge of it, then people would grow bored and not really be all that interested in waiting around because, hey, you've already told us so much information. I'll play the game when it comes around. But until then, I've had enough. You don't want that as a creator. You want to feed little breadcrumbs and lead people along with said breadcrumbs to the next installment of your story. So, with all that being said, those are my thoughts on the Valentine's card from Gaster and from what we as authors can learn from it. If you're interested in more writing insights, analyses, reviews, and the likes, then please check out our other videos here. And if you'd like to support the work that we do, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing if you haven't already done so are always helpful. But what's even more helpful is if you check out the books that we have published. Links for them are in the description below. We would love it if you bought a copy, read it, and gave us a review, because having those reviews is really, really helpful and helps us to improve our craft here. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible adventure that we call writing, and until the next video, y'all, tschüss.